Bilingual Abilities and Bilingual Development, an Introduction. In this lecture, we will be talking about different types of bilingual ability that bilinguals might have and what are the factors that affect their development. And in this module, I'm only going to introduce some basic concepts. So what we are saying is that bilingual abilities are not the same. They might differ in the range of the language proficiency they have. They might be limited to oracy, that is oral skills only, that is speaking. They might be limited to the sign language. So let me remind you over here that sign language is also different across cultures. So there are different sign languages, not just one. And it might include literacy, that is reading and writing. So what we are saying over here is that it is possible for people to only listen and speak a language. For instance, people who are not literate, they would still know in Pakistani context, for example, they be able to process Urdu. They listen, they speak. Sindhi, they listen, they speak, even when they are not educated. They might have literacy skills that is related to reading and writing, or they might also have some sinusy skills if they are deaf children, which relates to attending to what is going on and being able to produce certain signs that relate to certain language in their own context. Now, bilingual abilities, that means, might be receptive. That is, they're not producing language, but they understand the language, and they might be productive. That is, they can understand the language and they are able to produce language also. So this really depends on the use of different languages they have done. Let me give you the example of Persian, for instance. So, for instance, in FA, you might know that we learn this. Persian is an option that we have in colleges. So by the end of the course, you might be able to read and interpret what is written in Persian language, but you might not be able to write as well or to speak Persian. So this is what we are talking about. So we are saying that type of bilingual ability that is receptive would mean in oral skill, it would mean you're just listening. In literacy, it would mean you're able to read but not write. And in sinusy, it would mean you can understand the signs but you can't produce them. If you are a productive bilingual, then what it means in terms of oracy is that you can both listen, understand, and speak it. In literacy, it would mean, yes, you can read it and write it also. And in sinusy, it would mean you are also able to understand the signs and produce the signs in that language. So the topics that are covered in the coming modules relate to what are the circumstances in which receptive bilinguals are produced, what are the circumstances in which you have these productive bilinguals, and then we talk about how is bilingualism or the state of bilingualism related to language functions for which you use languages. We also try to explore the two types of bilingualism. Number one, the obligatory bilingualism, and number two is elective bilingualism. What do we mean by them? When do they happen? And then we also cover the topic of bilingual development in children, and then also how bilingual children might differ or are similar to monolingual children.